Hey everybody. So what are we going to do today? We are going to try our hand at making some persimmon jam. So come on back and we'll see if we can get through this without messing it up too badly. Alright, so I've been picking persimmons for about 5 days and keeping them to get enough to go in the pot here. So I have almost, it's about half-ish. You want to have room for it to cook down. Typically, you pick persimmons when they fall on the ground. That means they're ripe, usually, but not always. So there's nothing sweeter than a ripe persimmon. There's nothing worse than one that is not ripe. What I have found is the blossom end. If you've got to fight that, I should be able just to push that off with one finger, right? This one, even though it looks good and ripe, and it's got some give to it, is not ripe, right? If that blossom end doesn't fall off, it's no good. You want to take your blossom ends off, and you're going to pick out the bottom piece here. Right? And then you want to rinse them real good a couple of times in cold water. I just put mine in the colander, rinsed it, let it soak a little bit, rinsed it again. Then they went in the pot. Put about a cup of water in there, and we're going to cook it until it cooks down to where I can mash it up. And then we'll come back. Also, just a side note, if you're going to mess with persimmons, you're going to cook them into anything, you can use that pulp to make bread, like banana bread, cheesecake, pies. Like, you can make almost anything you can put in bananas in, you can put persimmons in. You want to make sure that you're tasting it, because you will know immediately. You want to take like a little sliver off of each one and taste it, because you do not want that chalky, I don't know, puckery. You don't want that. One bad persimmon in a batch of pulp will ruin the entire batch. So you want to make sure that you do not have any bad ones in there, that they're all good and ripe. Alright, so this is going a little quicker than I thought it was going to. You just want to kind of, I just got good old potato masher. And mash them down. You want to be sure you also have a spoon. To go along the bottom. You don't want it to scorch. Definitely don't want that. Alright, so I'm going to keep stirring and mashing until it gets where the seeds are kind of separated out, and then we'll move to the next step. Okay, so here's the consistency that you're looking for. Just kind of mush, right? Ripe persimmons help that happen. The next step's going to be kind of a pain. Alright, if you have a food mill, this would be the time to use that. Unfortunately, I do not have one of those right now, so we need to get these seeds separated from the pulp. And we're going to use a wire mesh strainer to do that. And you're just going to work it through the strainer to get the pulp out. Keep the skins in. And the seeds. So as you can see, this is going to be a pretty good process to go through, and so we will come back once we get all of this pulp strained out. Okay, so there we have all of our persimmon pulp, and if you are the type of person who likes really clean jelly or jam, then you could run this through a cheesecloth or a double cheesecloth once or twice to clean that up some. We eat persimmons off the trees, so that little bit of speckling just gives it character in my eyes. So we've got our persimmon pulp, 2.5 cups of sugar, and 1/2 cup of lemon juice, because persimmons are right on the edge of the right pH to be able to can them. So that is what we are working with. As far as ingredients, we've got some spices going to go in at the end, and I'm going to use low sugar sugar gel. Now, I've heard that persimmons have enough pectin in them that you don't need to use sugar gel, but I'm going to anyway, just to be safe. My jars have already been boiled. They are in there. I will take them out as I get this cooking. And then these lids and rings, which are so cute, they were all gifted to me, and so I'm going to use them for this project. They have been heated up and are just waiting in the hot water. Alright, so let's get it all in the pot, and then we'll take a look. Alright, so we're going to put in our persimmon pulp. I'm going to use a spatula and make sure I get it all out of here, because that was hard work to get that pulp. I don't want to lose any. Alrighty. There's that. I'm going to go ahead and put in the 2.5 cups of sugar and our 1/2 cup of lemon juice into the dishwater. We're going to put this on low heat. About 3 or 4. Get it boiling. Actually, let's go ahead and turn that up to get it boiling. Then we'll turn it down to 3 or 4. I'm going to let it boil for 10 minutes once it gets going. We're doing a spiced version of this, so we'll put the spices in the very last part. Alright. So beautiful. Okay, so we're almost done. And this is actually thickening up pretty good on its own. So, alright, there's that timer. Alright, so we're going to put in the spices. We've got cinnamon and ground cloves. 2 teaspoons of cinnamon to a 1/4 teaspoon of cloves. And that's a basic apple butter seasoning. Ooh. Get that stirred in there. Ooh. That smells delicious. Actually pretty decent thickness. Take that off the heat for a minute because it is bubbling everywhere. So good. Alright. I'm going to only put in about half of this pectin. I don't feel like it needs the whole bag, so. Whisk in there, back on the heat. Alright. Bring this back to a boil, 10 more minutes. I've already got my jars out and ready to go. And I always prepare more jars than I think I'm going to need, because I'd rather have too many than not enough, and I can always boil them again and use them again. So while I'm boiling them, why not boil extra? Oh yeah. Alright, so we'll bring this back to a boil on the heat here. stirring constantly. You do not want this to stick to the bottom of the pan, and then we'll be back to fill the jars. Okay, so we're about 7 minutes into cooking it, and I'm calling it. Everything is very well mixed, and you can, when you make very much jam and jelly, you can kind of feel it as you're stirring it when it starts to get thick. You don't want it to over thicken. It's going to go in the water bath for 10 minutes and cook for 10 more minutes in boiling water. So you don't want it to get so thick that you can't load your jars with it. But you can see that that is fairly thick. That's about what you want it to look like to start loading your jars. By the way, I cleaned my spoon before I put it back in here. Alright. So let's fill our jars. You want to leave about a 1/4 inch, pretty much on all jams and jellies, about a 1/4 inch headspace-ish. I always make the biggest mess doing this. And I don't have any of that fancy dancy equipment, so I just eyeball it. I actually think this is going to make a little more than I thought it was going to make, which is awesome. 'Cause I've got some neighbors who are wanting to try this. Yeah, see, there's my timer for the cooking. Waste not, want not. Alright. This little partial jar will go in the ice box so that we can eat it. After it sets up. This made more than I thought it was going to. Alright, so these will go in the hot water bath for 10 minutes, and then we'll pull them out. Alright, our time is up. Alright, so there we are, 9 half pints of wild persimmon spiced jam. Beautiful. Thanks for stopping by. We appreciate you taking the time, and we'll catch you later.